My name is Fales Primo. I'm presenting this video to discuss about poverty and health. Poverty is a major cause of ill health and also a barrier to have health care when needed. The relationship between poverty and health is financial. The poor cannot afford to purchase those things which are needed in life so that they can be sufficient, they can have good health, including sufficient quantities of quality food, health care. But the relationship is also related to other factors such as lack of information, appropriate health promoting practices, or lack of voice needed to make social services work for the poor. The most commonly used way to measure poverty is based on income. A person is considered poor if his or her income level falls below some minimum level necessary to meet basic needs. This minimum level is usually called the poverty line. What is necessary to satisfy basic needs varies across time and society. Therefore, poverty lines vary in time and place, and each country uses lines which are appropriate to its level of development, societal norms and values. Ill health in turn is a major cause of poverty. This is partly due to the costs of seeking health care, which include not only out-of-pocket spending on care such as consultations, tests, and medicine, but also transportation costs and any informal payments to providers. It's also due to the considerable loss of income associated with illness in developing countries, both of the breadwinner but also of family members who may be obliged to stop working or attending to school to take care of an ill relative. In addition, poor families coping with illness might be forced to sell assets to cover medical expenses, borrow at high interest rates, or become indebted to the community. There are basically three current definitions of poverty in common usage: absolute poverty, relative poverty, and social exclusion. Absolute poverty is defined as the lack of sufficient resources with which to keep body and soul together. Relative poverty defines income or sources in relation to the average. It is concerned with the absence of the material needs to participate fully in accepted daily life. Social exclusion is a new term used as a shorthand label for what can happen when individuals or areas suffer from a combination of linked problems such as unemployment, poor skills, low incomes, poor housing, high crime environments, bad health, and family breakdown. Poverty drains family savings. In addition, poor people are more exposed to several risks such as poor sanitation, unhealthy food, violence, drug abuse, and natural disaster, and they are less prepared to cope with them. It was reported that more than 1.5 billion people in the world, most of them children, live in most extreme poverty, and 80% of them live in developing countries. Poor people have little or no access to qualified health services and education and do not participate in decisions critical to their day-to-day lives. UNICEF statistics show that 22,000 children die each day because of poverty. Concern for the health of the poor is one of the critical issues in development. Poverty and health are closely linked. Poverty cannot be defined solely in terms of low or no income. No access to health services, lack of access to safe water, inadequate nutrition, and literacy or low educational level are also essential components of poverty. Poverty is one of the most influential factors in ill health, and ill health can lead to poverty as well. People with low income are at greater risk of illness and disability. They are also less informed about the benefits of healthy lifestyles and have less access to quality health care. It is estimated that 1/3 of deaths worldwide, some 18 million people a year or 50,000 a day, are due to poverty-related causes. Those who live in extreme poverty are 5 times more likely to die before age 5 and 2.5 times more likely to die between 15 and 59 than those in higher income groups. The same dramatic differences can be found with respect to maternal mortality levels and incidence of preventable diseases. Micro level and macro level. These focuses on individuals and their interactions, the relationship between adult children and their parents, or the effect of negative attitudes on older people. Some criticize on micro level theories because they focus on what older people do rather than on social conditions and policies that cause them to act the way they do. Study of small-scale structures and processes in society. It says explanations of social life and social structure are to be found at individual level. People give meanings to objects, then base their actions on these meanings. Micro level theories are raw theories. For example, understanding adjustment to getting order. Macro level focuses more upon social structure, social process and problems, and their interactionships. Example, the effect of industrialization on older people status or how gender and income affect older people well-being. This approach tends to minimize people's ability to act and overcome the limit of social structures. Change produces the major social forces that shape change throughout society. Changes that occur at the middle and micro level, where they actually experience change in our own lives. These changes do not occur quickly, but they alter the ecological order, the system of stratification, and the social institutions of entire society. Entire social classes are shaped by this macro level. Poverty and poor health worldwide are inextricably linked. The causes of poor health for millions globally are rooted in political, social, and economic injustices. Poverty is both a cause and a consequence of poor health. Poverty increases the chances of poor health. Poor health, in turn, traps communities in poverty. Infectious and neglected tropical diseases kill and weaken millions of the poorest and most vulnerable people each year. The economic and political structures which sustain poverty and discrimination need to be transformed in order for poverty and poor health to be tackled. Marginalized groups and vulnerable individuals are often worst affected, deprived of the information, money, or access to health services that would help them prevent and treat diseases. Very poor and vulnerable people may have to make harsh choices, knowingly putting their health at risk because they cannot see their children go hungry, for example. Here, the role of social and community influences on health are considered. The concept of social capital has become very popular within public health in recent years. Although, like many similar concepts, it it has been used in different ways by different people. Indeed, War Etra in 1998 and Have and Shell 2000 have argued that the concept is being used so widely and diversely that its explanatory power is being weakened. The concept of social capital can be traced to one of several sources, like Bourgeois 1986, Coleman 1988, and Putnam 1995. However, the work of Bourgeois is probably the most relevant here. He described social capital as the aggregate of the actual or potential resources which are linked to possession of a durable network of more or less institutionalized relationships of mutual acquaintances or recognition, or in other words, to membership of a group. Though that is what Bourgeois said in 1986, page 248. A life course approach would focus on how social capital is accrued throughout life and how it can be passed on from one generation to the other. Writing about education, Bourgeois in 1999 discussed the way in which extra knowledge or cultural capital is passed on from parents to children, and drawing on this, Sullivan 2001 argued that this is one of the ways in which middle-class families ensure education advantages for their children. Thank you, and that is the end of the slides and the presentation. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thank you very much. Good night.